All right, so Q&A. So of everything happening on planet Earth right now, Ukraine, nuclear war, the economy, gas prices, what the people who listen to this podcast want to know is, when will Surviving Barstool be back? So Surviving Barstool is definitely coming back. We have a whole reality show line. So Surviving Barstool is coming back. Barstool versus America, I think, is also coming back. We may have some other shows up our sleeves. I think those are some of our best, most creative production, also some of our newest. So you will definitely see those, I want to say, this summer into this fall. Next question. What is the next big Barstool venture? I had the biggest Dave Portnoy. I had a vintage Dave Portnoy moment this weekend. So get a call from Dave. I'm walking on South Congress. Dave's like, all right, I met these guys. This is what they do. This is what they're offering. What do you think about it? How would we do it? What do you think? Blah, blah. So then there's a series, how it usually goes with me and Dave, of 4 6-minute phone conversations and a bunch of text messages. And what I'm super excited about is I actually think that some total of 10 minutes of conversation and probably 15 lines of text will put us in the crypto NFT space in a way that we've been trying to figure out but haven't gotten there. So some big news to be announced from us on that. I do think the coolest thing about Austin this week has been some of the crypto scene and just the energy and the youthfulness. And also the acknowledgement that so very much of it's bullshit and hype, but the people who actually understand smart contracts and the marketplaces and the way the exchanges are being run, the applications of that, I think, are truly going to be mind-blowing. So there'll be a big venture from Barstool coming in that space, I would say fairly shortly. And then lastly, what is your playbook on discussing promotions and raises? Are there things to talk about that maybe women are not doing? Has there been a time where you promoted or gave a raise to someone that you may have passed over initially, but they proved their worth? 100% all the time. So look, I think talking about getting a promotion and a raise can be uncomfortable. I think money's uncomfortable for people. So the first thing is if you can just get past your fucking discomfort and talking about money, you'll be better off talking about money. But that can be a hard thing to do. I think the reason money is uncomfortable is it has a value system attached, and there's also your ego and your sense of self-worth and self-doubt is all tied into that. So in terms of discussing money and raises, I think the first thing is, if you want to get promoted and you want to make more money, you should put the context of what you're doing in the eyes of the person you're asking for a better title and a bigger pay package from. So what are you doing that drives to what that other person's objectives are or what their motivations may look like? In order to achieve that title, you're best served by showing that you're doing that level work and that you understand what your manager or the boss's expectation of what that work is. So I think that's a good thing. The second thing is, I wouldn't be afraid to call the ball on how much you would like to make. You may sell yourself a little bit short. You should be smart. You should canvass the marketplace. I think you can go to all sorts of apps to look at what the average pay is for someone of your salary. We're obviously in a crazy time right now where people are getting paid a bananas amount of money for most every job. One of the things that Mark Cuban talks about is everybody's a free agent, right? And that's true. That's great for employees. If you're a free agent, you can ask for whatever you want. So I think it's smart to just call the ball in terms of, hey, I'd like to be making X. I'd really like to be paid Y. And here's why I think I'm driving the financial return or the impact or making a contribution that's worth that. That's how I would run the promotions and raises playbook. The biggest thing I would say to women is that women tend to ask for promotions and raises after they've done the work, and men tend to ask for promotions and raises on the promise of doing the work. So for women, I think it's really take accountability for the great stuff you're doing and go into that conversation with confidence. And then for guys, it's hey, if you're going to ask for it, be sure you deliver. And I think women will become more like men in that, and men probably will become more like women in that, in highly competitive environments and where they have a big or large competitive peer set. What am I most loving in the business world? I would say the things that I'm loving right now are all that matters is IP and fans. I really think that brand and fan are two of the only things that matter. And not just in the media business, which is obviously what I cover most acutely, but I think in general, that's where everything is moving. When you think about, all these direct to consumer businesses. So, Cuban is going to come on the show. He's going to talk about Mark Cuban's Cost Plus drug. And he talks about why his name is on it. And he talks about why the logo looks kind of simple and shitty and why the offices have no frills. But I think what's really interesting right now is that all that really matters, it's not your brand and your fans. It's your brand, your product, and your fans. And one of the things that I think is happening in business right now is the amount of energy going into creating new brands with products that are disrupting a status quo and in a way that build advocacy and community around them. I kind of hate the word community, but that are building heat. They're building energy around them. They're building fandoms around them. They're building loyalists around them. Like, I think that's really interesting. I think those are the things driving the NFT space. I think those are the things propelling changes in sports and the development of new sports. When you look at least the worlds that I touch, WWE is a magnificent IP company. They're figuring out distribution and learning their fans and appealing to them with more things in more places and with more storylines. You look at the PLL, like the PLL has so much to learn from the WWE. How do you build superstars? Like, name 3 superstars in lacrosse. No one can name more than one, if that. So they have work to do there. I look at us and it's like, we've launched all these baby superstars. How do we create the next Dan? How do we build the next Dave? Is that even possible? What would the products around those brands look like? What do their fans want? What's the input you can get from the community or from people who are loyal or frankly, even from people who hate you? So I think that the intersection of brand, product, and consumer or fan is really important. And then I think the other thing that I find really interesting is how ignorant most companies are or brand managers are or just people are about, does their brand and product matter? Do you have a good product? I think everyone should, I wish Barstool people would answer that question too. Like, is your product a good product? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Does it mean something to someone? Is it creating a benefit? Is it solving a need? Does it have a purpose? And, one of the things I think you see at a conference like this is you see a lot of advertising or a lot of marketing or a lot of money spent that are just trying to persuade people to be interested in something without actually having a real product plan to grow fans and to have your brand stand for something over the long haul. So I think that those are interesting things happening in business.